Most men over 60 aren't losing energy because they're aging. They're losing it because of habits they repeat every single day without even realizing it. But here's what most men don't know. The exact reasons your energy is fading are fixable. And today, you're going to see exactly how. Now here's the part that might genuinely surprise you. What most men think is causing their exhaustion, stress, age, even sleep, often isn't the real problem. It's something quieter, something they've been doing for years, without realizing it. You wake up tired, even after a full night in bed. You feel that heavy, almost physical slump by mid-afternoon. Motivation? It's just not there like it used to be. And maybe the hardest part, you can't quite explain why. So you start to accept it. Tell yourself, this is just getting older. But what if that's not true? Because after speaking with over 100 men over 60, men from different backgrounds, different lifestyles, different health histories, the patterns were undeniable. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you something most doctors never bring up in a standard checkup. It's simple, it's backed by research, and almost no one is talking about it. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could genuinely change how you feel by this time next month. Hi, I'm Dr. Hannah Blake, and I've spent the last 15 years working with men in their 50s, 60s, and 70s who feel like their energy just vanished. Last week, a patient, a 61-year-old man I'd been seeing for years, walked into my office and said something I hear more than you'd think. He said, "Doc, I feel like I'm disappearing." Not sick, not in pain, not dealing with anything dramatic, just fading. He was sleeping, he was eating, he was doing everything he thought he was supposed to do. But every single day felt heavier than the one before. If that sounds familiar, even a little bit, you are exactly the right place. Because today, I want to do something different. I'm not going to give you a generic list of tips. I'm going to show you what's actually happening inside your body, and then show you the exact fixes that come from that understanding. This is the conversation I wish more doctors were having with their patients. And as always, everything I share here is for educational purposes only. Please consult your own physician before making any changes to your health routine. Now let's get into it. Picture this. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. You've already had lunch, maybe even coffee, but your energy drops so hard and so fast, it feels like someone physically flipped a switch inside you. You're not just tired, you're slowed down, foggy, distant. Even small tasks, things that used to take 5 minutes, feel heavier than they should. Now picture this. You wake up in the morning. You should feel rested. You were in bed for 7, maybe 8 hours. But instead of feeling recharged, you feel like you never really slept at all. That dull, heavy fatigue follows you from the bedroom into the kitchen, into the car, into your day. Here's the truth, and I want you to really hear this. You are not broken. Your system is sending you a signal. The question is, are you listening to it? Or are you just pushing through and hoping it gets better on its own? Because here's what happens when this gets ignored. Muscle strength gradually declines, not overnight, but slowly, quietly. Motivation dips lower. Sleep becomes lighter, more fragmented, less restorative. And something else happens, something nobody talks about. Confidence starts to take a hit. Not dramatically, not in some obvious way, just enough that you notice something feels off. In conversations, you hold back a little more. In your posture, there's less ease. In your presence, with your family, your partner, your friends, there's a subtle shift. And here's what makes it even harder to deal with. Most men don't talk about this. They carry it quietly. They assume it's just aging. They tell themselves everyone feels this way. But I want to stop right there and say something clearly. Aging is natural. Losing your energy the way I just described is often not. These are two completely different things, and confusing them is exactly what keeps men stuck. Aging changes certain things, that's true. But what most men are experiencing, that level of drain, that daily heaviness, that is not an inevitable part of getting older. That is a signal, and signals have sources, and sources have solutions. What I'm about to explain next will show you exactly what's happening inside your body and why this isn't showing up on most standard checkups. Think of your energy like a battery. When you're younger, it charges quickly, holds its power longer, runs efficiently even under load. After 50, that system shifts. Not breaks, shifts. And here's what most men, and honestly, even many doctors, don't fully explain. There are 4 specific mechanisms behind this, and once you understand them, everything else makes sense. Mechanism 1, hormonal drift. You might be wondering, is this just testosterone? Partly, but it's a bigger picture than that. Hormones act like signals, telling your system when to produce energy, when to rest, when to rebuild muscle, when to regulate mood. After 50, those signals become weaker, less consistent, less coordinated. Testosterone is one piece, but cortisol rhythm matters just as much. So does DHEA, a hormone almost nobody talks about, which peaks in your late 20s and drops steadily after that. By 60, many men have levels less than 20% of what they had at their peak. DHEA supports energy, immune function, and how well your body handles physical and mental stress. When it drops quietly in the background, which it does in almost every man over 60, one of the first things you notice is that you just don't bounce back the way you used to. And here's the thing about hormonal drift. It doesn't happen all at once. It's gradual, subtle, which is exactly why so many men don't connect it to how they feel. So even if you sleep, your system doesn't fully recharge. That's why you can sleep 7 hours and still wake up feeling like you never quite got there. Because it's not just sleep, it's what your internal chemistry is doing during sleep. Mechanism 2, mitochondrial slowdown. This is the one most explanations skip over, and it explains almost everything. Inside every cell in your body are tiny structures called mitochondria. Their entire job is to produce energy, to convert what you eat and breathe into actual usable fuel for your muscles, your brain, your organs. Think of them as microscopic power plants running inside you, around the clock. Here's what happens after 50. Those power plants become less efficient, not because of age alone, but because of how they've been used. Chronic low movement, irregular eating patterns, ongoing low-level stress, poor sleep over months and years. All of it reduces their output. And here's the detail that genuinely surprised me when I first read the research on this. Men who are sedentary lose mitochondrial efficiency at nearly twice the rate of men who maintain regular movement. Twice. Not a small difference, a massive one. That's not aging, that's lifestyle. And the flip side, mitochondrial efficiency can be restored. Not completely, not overnight, but meaningfully. With the right inputs, those power plants can start running better again. I'll show you exactly how in a few minutes. Mechanism 3, blood flow efficiency. Now let's talk about circulation, because this one is underrated. Energy isn't just created inside your cells, it has to be delivered. Oxygen has to reach your muscles, nutrients have to reach your brain, waste products have to be cleared away. After 60, blood vessels naturally become less flexible, less responsive to demand. So even if your mitochondria are producing energy, even if your hormones are doing their job, if your circulation isn't delivering efficiently, you still feel sluggish, heavy, mentally slower than you know you should be. Here's something that surprised me the first time I saw it in the literature. Men can experience a measurable decline in microcirculation, the blood flow through your smallest vessels, starting in their late 50s. Even without any diagnosed cardiovascular disease, even with normal blood pressure, it happens silently, and it shows up as fatigue, brain fog, and that heavy feeling in the legs and body. The good news? Circulation responds well to specific, simple inputs, and I'll get to those. Mechanism 4, sleep architecture breakdown. And finally, sleep. But not sleep the way most people think about it. Not duration, architecture. You might be in bed for 7 or 8 hours, and that's real sleep, not just lying there. But the structure of your sleep changes significantly after 50. Deep sleep, the stage where your body actually repairs tissue, rebalances hormones, and consolidates memory, gets shorter and more fragmented as you age. Light sleep increases, deep sleep decreases. So you sleep the same number of hours, but you wake up less restored. And then you drink more coffee to compensate, which disrupts sleep the next night, which makes the next day harder. It becomes a quiet cycle that men fall into without ever realizing what's driving it. Now, here's the part that changes everything. When you understand these 4 mechanisms, hormonal drift, mitochondrial slowdown, circulation efficiency, and sleep architecture, the fixes stop feeling random. They become obvious. Because every single effective fix targets one or more of these four systems. Let me show you exactly what those fixes are. I've saved the most overlooked one for last. Fix 7 is the one most doctors never bring up in a standard appointment. But we're starting with something just as powerful. Fix 1. Morning light exposure. Here's something almost every man I've spoken to has underestimated. Your energy doesn't start with coffee. It starts with light. Specifically, natural morning sunlight. When light hits your eyes in the first hour after waking, it triggers your brain to set its internal clock for the day. It times your cortisol peak, which is what gives you that natural alertness in the morning. It sets the countdown for melatonin later that night, which means better sleep quality. Without it, your system runs slightly out of sync, all day. The fix is simple. Step outside for 5 to 10 minutes within the first hour of waking. No sunglasses if possible. The light needs to reach your eyes directly. One patient told me after doing this consistently for 2 weeks, "I didn't change anything else, but I started feeling more awake before noon for the first time in years." Fix 2. Protein timing. This one surprises almost everyone the first time they hear it. It's not just what you eat, it's when. As men age, the body's ability to use protein for muscle maintenance becomes less efficient. Researchers call it anabolic resistance. Your muscles need more protein, and they need it earlier in the day to get the same response they used to get easily. Most men do the opposite. They have a light breakfast, maybe just coffee, and load most of their protein into dinner. That's backwards, completely. When you push protein to breakfast and lunch, you support stable blood sugar through the day, you feed your muscles during their most active window, and you stabilize the energy patterns that otherwise crash by 3 p.m. A man in his late 60s I spoke with made this one change, nothing else. He told me, within a week, that 3 p.m. crash I'd lived with for years just stopped. Fix 3. Walking after meals. I know, it sounds almost too simple, but the research behind this is remarkably strong. When you walk for 10 to 15 minutes after eating, even a slow, casual walk, your muscles help absorb glucose from the bloodstream before insulin has to do all the heavy lifting. This stabilizes your blood sugar after meals. And blood sugar stability is one of the most direct drivers of sustained energy through the day. The post-meal energy crash that many men experience isn't random. It's a blood sugar response, and this simple habit blunts it significantly. Quick question before we continue. Drop a comment below and tell me where in the world you're watching this from. Seriously, I read every comment, and it genuinely means a lot to see men from so many different places taking their health seriously enough to be here. All right, let's keep going. Fix 4. Resistance training. Most men over 60 think cardio is the answer. Walking, cycling, maybe some swimming. And those things are valuable, don't stop. But they are not the full picture. Here's what cardio alone doesn't do. It doesn't send the specific signal your body needs to maintain muscle tissue and mitochondrial density. Resistance training does. When you challenge your muscles against load, even light load, you trigger a cascade of hormonal and cellular signals that tell your body, we still need this tissue. Keep it. Maintain the power plants inside it. Without that signal, your body gradually breaks down muscle for fuel. Mitochondrial density drops. Energy production capacity falls. You don't need to lift heavy weights. You don't need a gym membership. 2 to 3 sessions per week. Bodyweight exercises are enough to start. A patient of mine, 67 years old, hadn't exercised consistently in a decade, started with basic bodyweight squats and push-ups. 3 weeks later, he told me, I feel more solid, like my body is actually there again. Fix 5. Hydration timing. This one is subtle but real. Dehydration, even mild dehydration, well below what you'd notice as thirst, affects energy, cognition, and physical capacity measurably. The research shows that as little as 1 to 2% dehydration can impair focus, increase perceived effort during physical activity, and reduce overall alertness. And here's what makes this tricky for men over 60 specifically. The thirst mechanism becomes less sensitive with age. You literally feel less thirsty, even when you need water. so you reach for coffee instead. Caffeine is a diuretic. It pulls water out. You become more dehydrated. You feel more fatigued. You drink more coffee. The cycle runs quietly in the background for years. The fix: start your morning with water before anything else. A full glass before coffee. Spread your intake across the day rather than drinking large amounts at once. And don't wait for thirst to tell you when to drink. Fix 6. Consistent sleep timing. Not more sleep, better timing. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm, an internal clock that regulates nearly every hormonal and cellular process in your body. When you go to bed at different times each night, even by just an hour or two, you disrupt that clock. Your cortisol timing shifts. Your growth hormone release becomes less predictable. Your deep sleep cycles shorten. The fix isn't complicated. It's just consistent. Pick a bedtime and a wake time. Stick to them, including weekends. Within 2 to 3 weeks, most men report noticeably better sleep quality without changing anything else. Your system thrives on rhythm. Give it one. Fix 7. Nervous system recovery, the one most doctors don't mention. This is the fix I almost always have to explain twice, because most men have never thought about it this way. Here's what's happening. Modern life keeps your nervous system in a state of low-level activation, almost constantly. Notifications, news, unresolved stress, mental load that never fully switches off. Your body's stress response system, designed for short, intense bursts of danger, was never built to run at a low hum for 16 hours a day. But for most men over 60, that's exactly what it's doing. And here's the energy cost of that. Your body treats low-level stress activation the same way it treats physical exertion. It burns fuel. It suppresses recovery hormones. It keeps cortisol slightly elevated, which over time disrupts sleep, reduces testosterone, and drains the very cellular energy systems we talked about earlier. You wake up already halfway depleted, before the day has even started. The fix is nervous system recovery, and it doesn't require meditation retreats or anything complicated. It requires protected time each day where your system gets a genuine signal that the threat has passed. Slow, deliberate breathing, even 5 minutes, a consistent wind-down routine before bed, removing devices from the bedroom, protecting at least one part of your day from constant stimulation. One man told me after making this change, "I didn't realize how tense I was, all day, every day, until I finally wasn't." That quote stays with me, because I hear versions of it more than almost anything else. Before we get to the story I want to share, there's a section most videos like this skip entirely, and skipping it is a mistake. Because even if you start doing everything right, these common errors will quietly undo your progress. Mistake 1. Using caffeine as an energy strategy. This is the big one. Caffeine doesn't create energy, it borrows it. What it actually does, it blocks adenosine receptors in your brain. Adenosine is the compound that builds up during the day and makes you feel sleepy. Caffeine blocks those receptors so you don't feel the tiredness. But the tiredness is still there. It's accumulating underneath. When the caffeine wears off, often in the late afternoon, the accumulated adenosine hits all at once. That's the crash. That's why it feels like a wall. And because caffeine has a half-life of around 5 to 6 hours, an afternoon coffee at 2 p.m. still has half its strength in your system at 7 p.m., directly interfering with your sleep quality. The men who make the biggest gains in energy are almost always the ones who reduce caffeine, improve sleep, and stop needing caffeine to function in the first place. Mistake 2. Skipping meals or eating irregularly. Your energy system, specifically your blood sugar regulation, depends on consistent input. When you skip meals or eat at widely varying times, your blood sugar swings unpredictably, high and low, high and low. Each swing costs energy to correct. Over the course of a day, this is genuinely exhausting, even if you never notice it happening. Regular, reasonably timed meals stabilize the system. Stable system means stable energy. Mistake 3. Treating energy as a willpower problem. This one is important. Many men, especially men who are used to pushing through, who built their lives on toughness, interpret low energy as a personal failing. They think they just need to try harder, push more, be more disciplined. But energy is a biological output, not a character trait. When your mitochondria aren't producing efficiently, your hormones are drifting, and your nervous system never gets to recover. You can will your way through for a while, but willpower doesn't fix the underlying system. Understanding the system and giving it what it actually needs, that's what changes things. Let me ask you something directly. Have you ever made a small change to your routine, sleep, food, movement, and been genuinely surprised by how much better you felt? Drop it in the comments. I read every one, and those responses often shape what I cover next. The principle that ties all of this together: consistency beats intensity, every time. One man doing 10 minutes of morning light, protein at breakfast, a short walk after dinner, and a consistent sleep time, done daily for 6 weeks, will outperform another man who tries an extreme protocol for 2 weeks and then falls off entirely. Your biology responds to rhythm, to consistency, to signals that show up day after day. That's where the real change happens. I want to tell you about a man I'll call David, 63 years old, former contractor, spent 40 years building things with his hands, houses, structures, entire neighborhoods. He came to me not because something was dramatically wrong. There were no alarming test results, nothing dangerous. He came because of something smaller, and in some ways harder. He told me, "I don't feel like myself anymore." Not sick, not broken, just heavy. Every day felt slightly more effortful than it should. He'd come home from a morning of errands and need to sit down. He'd start a project in his garage, something he used to do with enjoyment and ease, and stop halfway through. Not because he physically couldn't, but because he just didn't feel like it, and he couldn't explain why. That bothered him more than the tiredness itself. He was a man who'd always shown up, always followed through, always had the drive to finish what he started. And now, standing in his own garage, holding a wrench, he felt like a stranger inside his own life. That moment, that afternoon in the garage, was what brought him to my office. We didn't overhaul his life. We didn't put him on a complicated protocol or send him to 10 different specialists. We started with 3 things: morning light, outside within an hour of waking, every day; a short walk after lunch; a consistent bedtime, same time, every night. That was it. For the first 2 weeks. He was skeptical, told me it felt too simple. I told him to give it 6 weeks before he judged it. By week 3, he noticed he was sleeping more soundly. By week 4, the afternoon heaviness had softened. By week 6, he called my office before his scheduled appointment. He said, "I woke up this morning and actually felt ready. Like, actually ready. I don't remember the last time I felt that." He finished a project in his garage that weekend, the one he'd abandoned months before. His wife called it a different kind of change. She said he seemed more present, more himself. Not younger, not transformed into a different person, just himself again, the version of himself he recognized. I share David's story not to make promises. Everyone's situation is different, and I always encourage working with your own doctor. But I share it because it's real, and because he is one of many. The pattern I've seen over and over again is this: when men understand why they feel the way they do, not just that they feel bad, but the actual mechanism behind it, and then take simple, consistent action, things shift. Not because of magic, because of biology. Give your system the right signals, consistently, and it responds. So let's bring it all together, because I want this to stick. Here's what we covered today. Number 1, your energy loss is not simply the result of aging. It has specific, identifiable causes, and specific causes have specific solutions. Number 2, 4 mechanisms drive most of what you're feeling: hormonal drift, mitochondrial slowdown, blood flow efficiency, and sleep architecture breakdown. Understanding these isn't just interesting, it tells you exactly what to target. Number 3, the 7 fixes we covered aren't random wellness tips. Each one directly addresses one or more of those 4 mechanisms. Morning light resets your hormonal clock. Protein timing supports muscle and blood sugar stability. Walking after meals handles glucose response. Resistance training rebuilds mitochondrial density. Hydration timing removes a hidden energy drain. Consistent sleep timing restores deep sleep architecture. And nervous system recovery addresses the silent fuel leak most men never even know they have. Number 4. Mistakes matter as much as fixes. Caffeine as a coping strategy, irregular eating, and treating energy as a willpower problem. All of them quietly undo progress even when everything else is right. And number 5, consistency is the mechanism. Not intensity, not perfection, consistency. You are not slowing down. Your system is not failing. It is asking, in the only language biology speaks, for a different kind of attention. And now you know exactly what to give it. As always, please speak with your doctor before making changes to your health routine. What I share here is educational, and individual situations vary. If something in today's video shifted how you think about your energy, hit the like button. It takes 1 second. And it genuinely helps this reach more men who need to hear it. I publish new videos every Tuesday and Friday. If you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now and tap the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. And I want to ask you one specific question before you go. What time of day do you feel your energy drop the most? Morning, afternoon, or evening? Tell me in the comments. I track these responses, and they directly shape what I cover in future videos. Because in my next video, I'm going to cover something almost nobody in this space is talking about yet. The one nighttime habit that quietly drains your energy while you sleep. Not before bed, not after you wake up, but during sleep itself. It's subtle, it's common, and once you know what it is, you'll understand something about your nights that most men never figure out. That video is coming Friday. I'll see you there.